Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is your boy Rogers, a multiple scholarship winner and currently a doctor in South Korea. So if you're joining my channel, watching through YouTube for the first time, make sure you consider subscribing because my channel is all about sharing information on scholarship, internship, how to apply for postdoctorate positions, volunteering, and everything that has to do with empowering each and every one of you as far as your career is concerned. And I've made so many videos. So today I'm going to be having another special guest on my channel to talk about volunteering. Yeah, to talk about volunteering. Yeah, hello.
Rogers, man, how you doing?
I'm good. Long time, man.
Been a very long time, man. It's been
Yeah.
almost 3 years, right?
Yeah, almost 3 years. So we're gonna talk about that. Before you came in, I was just trying to, just introduce my channel for whosoever is watching or people that will be joining later on or people who get to watch. So this we've come a long way to schedule this. We I think we lastly met in Korea 3 years ago, but we've been in touch. So, how about you start by introducing yourself, then before we can proceed to the chit chat?
Okay, so
Yeah.
my name is Ivan, and I work at a university as an enrollment advisor right now. I've been privileged to have lived in South Korea and in Ethiopia. I'm originally from West Africa. I'm from Liberia, and lived
Yeah.
in Senegal. So yeah, it's been quite the adventure the past several years, but I'm finally back in the U.S. and just trying
Yeah.
to put pieces together.
Okay, great. Lovely. So, first of all, I want to say thank you very much to create the time to come to this live stream. Our time difference is quite like big enough. We've been struggling to, set time that it's appropriate. So, we're gonna talk about, like I told you before, we talk about the volunteering, talk about maybe you share about your teaching experience in Korea, and you also mentioned the fact that you work in a university now. So maybe you also share some information experience because my channel is all about sharing first-hand experience to students or anybody looking forward to work in academia or get back to school or just build their career path. So let's start with the your volunteering experience. Let's
Yeah,
start with that. Yeah, you volunteered with Peacecorp. So, what is the Peacecorp all about? What is the
yeah. So the Peace Corps is an American organization, and the main mission is to kind of create. I already forgot the four. I forgot the three basic missions,
yeah,
but our responsibilities is to go to um, countries who invite us and to represent America, as well as be able to take the host country's culture and then bring it back to America and kind of just create a great sponsorship of just a relationship of understanding and bring the cultures somewhat together, you know.
yeah?
So I went to Ethiopia as a English volunteer, and
Okay.
therefore, so we had to leave with about I want to say 4 months left because COVID struck.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we had to leave a little bit early. But I
Yeah.
mean, I was there for 2 teaching years, and it was a really great experience. Got to
Okay.
meet and teach a lot of great people. Um,
Okay.
and yeah, man, volunteering it's tough. You know, it's selfless. You know,
Yeah.
you're not getting paid um,
Yeah.
to do the work. You know, and so a lot of it is spent putting a lot of time and effort into something that you're not really sure if the people are really
Yeah.
better of. You know, but
Yeah.
it was a good experience and got to learn the language a little bit and eat a lot of food because they're
Yes,
the cultures are very different, but it's Africa, so people love to express and show their
yeah.
appreciation through food. So I ate a lot, danced a lot, and
Wow.
it's a very great experience. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. So, because volunteering, the reason why I want to talk about volunteering is the fact that even though it is not paid, but you see, these days to find a volunteering position, it's very, very competitive. You
Mhm.
can agree with me. So, if someone, first of all, the first question is, can anyone, be it from any nationality, have a chance to become a Peace Corps?
So no, so the only individuals that can be a part of Peace Corps are
Yeah.
those who reside in the 50 states as well as Puerto Rico and Guam, I believe. Um,
Okay.
so those are the only two non um, American states. So those are the American territories.
Yeah.
Um, so, yeah. So unless you are part of those states or territories, then you cannot. But I mean, and I think that's kind of the you understand volunteering at the
Yeah.
international difficult. It's hard to find a reputable organization to be a part
Yeah.
of. It's
Yeah.
very competitive. So Peace Corps is very
Mhm.
competitive as well.
Yeah.
Um, and so you go through a process, you
Yeah.
apply, and then you do an interview, and then if they like
Yeah.
you, you have to
Yeah.
go through all these tests you have to take. So you have to take medical tests,
Yeah.
do a background check,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's kind of scary because some people they didn't hear back about the
Yeah.
background until a month before we had to leave. So
Okay.
in their heads they weren't gonna go, but they
Yeah.
got they were good. But yeah, so it's very competitive.
Uh,
Um, and it's funny because in order to be a competitive applicant, you have to have some level of experience either in the field directly, um,
okay.
travel experience. They like that, um,
Wow.
as well as also having previous volunteering experience.
Experience.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Wow. So meaning, the question is, if someone reside, because the word I picked up was, if someone is residing in one of the states, one of the 50 states of the USA, if you're not a national, you can apply for the program, right? Or you cannot.
So you have to be an American citizen, um,
Okay.
or be a citizen of Guam or Puerto Rico.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, great.
yeah, because
Oh,
they're
great, great.
yeah, they're American territories.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I believe. I mean, if you had dual citizenship, you still would be fine um,
Yes.
from another country, but you have to. The main priority is that you have to have some sort of American uh,
Okay.
citizenship. Yeah.
Okay. Then, wow, great. The first question has been sorted out. So, for how long is the volunteering experience? Like, for how can you volunteer for a very long, like 4 years, 2 years? What is the minimum time to volunteer and the maximum time?
So the, I mean, they really don't have a minimum time per se. If
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
if you're having a rough time, if things aren't looking very good, and you want to leave,
Yeah.
I mean, they'll let you go. But there's definitely things that you don't get because you don't stay. Um,
Yeah.
in terms of a maximum time, I mean, you can
Yeah.
reapply as much as you'd like. There's no,
Okay.
don't think there's a limit. But
Okay.
let's see, I believe it is, let's see, 12, 24. I believe it's 26 months.
Okay. 26 months.
Yeah, that's the time period. That's the length. So yeah, yeah, it's 26 months. And so I was there for about 18 months because
Okay.
of
Okay.
COVID.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, I mean, 26 months, it goes by fast. You've lived a
Yeah.
career for
Yes.
10 years now, so
Yeah, that's true. Before you know, time is gone. And the
yeah,
thing is, usually when you get to these places, the first year is tough, but the second year you start liking it, and then suddenly your time is up.
yeah,
So you've
mhm,
got to leave.
yeah.
You know. And my the other question is, if someone who is interested in applying, do they have like an official website, or where do you get to send your documents to apply, and what kind of documents, or what do you need to apply for this volunteering experience?
Yeah, so I mean, you go to the Peace Corps website. So I believe it's peacecorps.gov. Um,
Yes,
and then there is an application you go through. They'll ask you about which countries you'd like to choose. I believe you have three.
yes,
Then they will ask you for the area that you want to, at the sector you want to work in.
yes.
Uh, and they'll also show you available positions and available countries. So,
Okay.
maybe by the time you look into it, there
Yeah.
might be no more available spots.
Oh, wow.
Or the year you look into it,
Okay.
accepting a specific sector. So for,
Yeah.
we're considered group like a group 18. That was our cohort.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, so it goes 18, it goes even numbers. So 18, 20, 22. So on the 19th, so 2019, there was no education, right? So
Okay.
for some countries, it's like that. It's you might have to wait an entire another year just to apply for the specific sector that you want.
Okay. So depending on the sectors, right? I think you're bringing up or mentioning about sectors here. You have education, environment, and what are the others? Do you have a clue about the other sectors, the different sectors?
So every country is a little bit different, but so typically it's like community and development, health,
Yeah.
education, agriculture, and
Hmm.
youth and development. Um, I think, yeah, I think, but for Ethiopia it was agriculture, health, and
Okay.
education. So when
Okay.
I applied, I really wanted to do community and development,
Yeah.
youth and development. I believe what it might have been, um, and the countries that I had chosen for that specific for the next following year, they weren't accepting for that. So I said, okay, well, I love education. I am
Okay.
I when I was in Korea was when I applied. So in Korea,
Yeah.
I was teaching English.
Yeah.
So that was a great opportunity for me to say, I love education. Let me do that one. Let me do that again. Um,
Okay.
I did my interview and everything went well from there.
Okay.
Hmm.
Wow, great. So now we are gonna jump into. We'll come back to your volunteering experience. We'll jump into your teaching experience in Korea. How did you find? That was when we met. I can't. That was in 2028 or so. So how was your teaching experience in Korea?
I loved
How
it.
did you find it?
I loved it. I think Korea is one of the best countries that I've visited, in terms of living, in terms of even people. I think you would
Yeah,
agree too that when
yeah,
you start learning the language and when you appreciate the culture, Koreans are some of the nicest people. They're very
yeah,
welcoming. Um,
yeah.
so teaching, I mean, teaching was great. The kids, you know,
Yeah.
sometimes you're the first black person they've ever seen.
That's true. I can relate.
Yeah, so for them it's like, whoa, wow, and you can really teach them a lot. And you can teach them more than just the lessons they're learning. And to me that's we're all gonna learn. We're gonna learn math, we're gonna learn science, we're gonna learn English. That stuff, it doesn't matter the teacher, you're gonna learn it. To me, it's some of all the other cultural elements that you bring in where the real learning comes in. And so being able to answer the kids' questions because they're sitting there and they're looking at the book and like Korean kids are very diligent, but sometimes you just see them and they're just looking at you. Oh. And I say, yes, uh, teacher, yes, you know, how how are you black? And it's like Well, let's let's
Yeah,
yeah, let me try to answer that for you. Well, God loved
yeah,
me so much, or whatever, and my skin is this color because science. And the more time you spend in the sun, the more color you. It's just
yeah,
they really ask you questions about things that no one's really going to give them a good answer to. You
true.
know, they love knowing about Africa. They love learning about Black people.
Yeah.
Uh, it was a great time. I really enjoyed it, and I mean, I'm gonna one of these days I'm gonna get the missus to go back.
Yeah, yeah, it's I mean it's Korean kids are very curious, like you said. They'll make you, if you're having a very hard or very tough day. Once you get into class, there are some kids that will just make you, feel like everything about that specific day. So I want to find out, because there are people who are interested who might be watching and they're interested to teach English in Korean. I've made other videos on that, but based on your own personal experience, how can you apply for a teaching position, like you want to teach English in Korean? How can you go about that?
Yeah, so I mean, so there are a lot of there are a lot of very reputable organizations out there. I believe EF English is one of them. So I went through davesesl.com, and I just applied to one of the actually I applied to probably like five postings, and I heard back from two. So a lot of the posts, a lot of the schools, they want to make sure that you have a TEFL certificate. And at the time, I didn't have a TEFL certificate. So if you have a TEFL certificate, it like your opportunity increases. Okay, so the Hagwons, the private schools, for the most part, they want the Hagwons. It can be a month or two before school starts, and they need you. It could be 2 weeks before school starts and they need you.
Yeah,
And they don't care if you have a TEFL certificate, they need you. Okay.
yeah,
Um,
yes,
but some other places, they want you to have all these different completions. Um, I have my bachelor's degree. And I have got a lot of working experience, and I had a pretty decent resume, so I don't think it was too difficult. But you know, there is a stereotype about um, being a Black American or being Black. And I think some of the schools would prefer a white girl.
yes,
They would prefer a
that's
white
right.
because they view that as being like the most American. You know.
Okay, yeah,
Also, I feel like they because even the private schools, it's usually a lot of women involved in the school systems. Um, and so I think they have a system that's been consistent for a lot of them, and they like it. Um, and I honestly I get it. I don't necessarily like it. I don't have to like it. It's what works for some of them. But I do think that there's a lot of merit when you choose someone who is of that country, speaks English, but maybe of a different cultural background.
yeah.
But anyways, that's besides the point. So I applied to several. I heard back from a couple. One of the schools I applied to, they needed someone that month. So I did all the
Hmm.
paperwork. I had to get everything sealed. And then boom, I was off. It was
Yeah.
that quick.
Okay, well, awesome. Yeah, that's career for you. Some will go pretty fast, it's just like speed of light. Before you know, they need you, they can do the paperwork for you. Some will take like forever. And you mentioned about Dave's Cafe, right? Is it
Yeah,
Dave's what?
ESL.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about that. So probably I have to check that and then attach in the description box of this video for whosoever wants to teach English in Korea. You can check that out. Or there's a previous video I made with a friend of mine too. She's from South Africa. So You can also check that out as well. Yeah, and then I remember you did. Pardon?
She's South African.
Yeah, she's South African. Flower. I'm sure you know about Flower.
Oh, okay.
White.
I think I know who you're
Yes.
talking about. Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was a
Flower.
South African girl too. I was wondering if there is the same one, but
Yes, it's Flower. Flower. Probably you might know. If you see the video, probably you get to know her because we used to be between in Seoul, right? In Seoul, we used to have like the little black community where we meet often. So
yeah,
once in a while, she used to, pop in, pop out. So you might probably know about her. Then, now let's get to Ethiopia. We'll get back to Ethiopia. How was your volunteering experience within Ethiopia? How did you find it there?
it was great. The biggest takeaway I would get from Ethiopia
Yeah.
is Ethiopians love being Ethiopian, and
Yes.
yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But they love it so much that they look at you, especially if you're black, and they
Yeah.
want you so badly to be Ethiopian, like, oh, you must be Ethiopian, you know?
Yes.
And then they realize you're Amharic or whatever language you
Yeah.
are is not the same, and they go, hmm, you know? But I liked it. I mean, the hardest thing about being in Ethiopia, I would say, was, and these are just the technical things, right? The things
Yeah.
that when I came from South Korea. When
Yeah.
South Korea, maybe I spent some time in Colombia and Peru
Yeah.
for like a month and a half, but then I
Okay.
to Ethiopia. So I went
Yeah.
from the fastest internet services in the world to maybe
Yeah.
the slowest internet in the world.
Yeah.
So, oh, but it wasn't, I wasn't there for the internet, right? Uh,
Yeah.
I met a lot of great people. I heard a lot of great stories. I learned a lot about the cultures, the ethnic groups, the food, the language. So, I mean, if you love culture, if you love history, perfect place to be.
True.
People will talk to you all day about Ethiopian history.
Yeah.
You know, so that was very great. Teaching was great. The children were amazing. Um,
Yeah.
the biggest issue for me was probably going to be transportation, not even the electricity, transportation.
Yeah.
Man, the transportation is just
Yeah, I can relate to that because I spent 2 years in Ethiopia. I'm sure I told you that. During my first year, the food was I had problem with transportation, food, electricity. Like, well, I was from West Africa, from Cameroon. Within Cameroon, even though it's a developing country, but there are some things which are, I think, way better than Ethiopia. So and then the culture is different,
yeah,
totally different. But I think my first semester, first 4 months was really hard. But when I started liking the food and I got used to it, like right now, I really miss the country.
yeah,
It was it was amazing country, and then historically, like you said, they have it's really amazing to see the historic sites within Ethiopia, especially the Rock Church. I don't know if you went the Lalibela,
yeah,
the
like
Rock Church.
yeah,
Yeah, so it's those are some of the amazing things about Ethiopia,
yeah.
which I'll encourage each and everyone to make sure they go check that out. And then again, I want to find out about still with your volunteering experience within you volunteered just in Ethiopia, right?
See, I well,
Have you
I yeah, I did my governmental volunteering there, but when I was in
yeah,
Ethiopia, or sorry, when I was in South Korea, I volunteered at the House of Sharing. Uh,
okay.
I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So I did a little bit of that, and that was another great experience. I mean, if anyone gets the opportunity to look up the House of Sharing in South Korea,
Yeah.
some really some some women who have gone through a lot in their lives,
Yeah.
and I've done some other volunteering stuff back in here in the States. So that was so I would say Peace Corps was my first big international volunteering
Yeah.
opportunity. Because prior to that, I think a lot of people who want to do international volunteering, they look
Yeah.
up the UN, they look up
Yes.
these big organizations, and it's tough. It's not easy.
Yes.
It's not easy to do, and I mean, you might have a great resume, but they need you to speak French or they need you to speak Dutch or English, and some people don't have
Yeah.
to, and it's really
Yeah.
unfortunate. Yeah.
So, yeah, based on your volunteering experience, what would you tell someone who is just anybody watching who is just fresh up from the boat, just have their bachelor degree level, and they are ready to set in, like they want to start a career path or going for more studies? Why would you or what would you tell them that would encourage them to volunteer first? Because a lot of applications usually requires for either working experience or volunteering, and it might surprise you to know that people would prefer to hire a student who has volunteered than someone who has worked before. So what would you really tell someone who is, reluctant to volunteer, be it international or within America itself?
So I'll say two things. One of two. Well, you can do both too, but one of two things.
Yeah.
One, I would say volunteer out of just the goodness, right? So you want to do something that's impactful. You want to help, say,
Mm,
a homeless shelter. You want to help at a boys and girls club. Something to
mm,
do with, people that are disadvantaged.
mm,
And that's a great way for you to not only learn more about other people, but also, um, to show that you spend your time wisely, right? Because that's another thing about volunteering is it shows that you know how to manage your time. One, two, you know how to give on to others. You know, um, and then two, this is for those people who are having a hard time finding jobs. And this may not be the most convenient thing, but if you have a job or you have a specific skill set that you want to learn, go to a business, go to some owner and say, hey, I want to volunteer 1 or 2 hours of my day or my week just watching you and learning from you. I don't want to get paid. I just want to be here to learn and maybe even help. You know, the worst thing that happens when you want to apply, the worst thing that happens is they say no. That's the worst thing. No. And then you move on, right?
yeah.
Best thing that happens is limitless. At the very least, you start to you volunteer at an organization or at a company, and you meet new people, and that's
Yes.
a great opportunity for you to network. Because I will
Uh-huh.
say, networking is going to get you much further than your degree will. You know, um, Granted, if you're going for a PhD or doing something very specific, of course you need a degree. But if you meet the right people, if you talk to the right people, you're going to learn so much from them and how they got to where they got to, and it's going to help you to that next step, and they might even like you so much they'll recommend you to someone else. So those two things, obviously, they involve you having to get up and get out. If you go to work all day and then you come home and you sit at home all day, you might become the best employee, but you're missing out on so many people that you could run into. If I had no business really going to Seoul. The town I lived in, it was great. The people I knew, they were great. But I would go into Seoul, and I would meet different people, and then they would say, hey, I have a friend that does this, and I have a friend that does this. You and I met from another friend,
Yeah.
right? Uh,
Yeah, that's true.
so it's the same way. You have to get yourself out there. You have to expose yourself. People need to see you in order to know you, in order to like you, in order to be able to spread the word about who you are and what you do. You know, I think volunteering. People think volunteering is free. You're not. No one is free, right? It's you're not getting free labor when you're volunteering. When you're volunteering, you're giving up your time, but you can get so much depending on how much time and how much effort you put into it, right? So, um, yeah, I've met people who have gotten scholarship opportunities because they went somewhere and they just spoke to someone. They're sitting down and they just spoke to the guy, and the guy said, "Oh, cool. Do you like doing that?" "Oh, I love this. This is my passion." The guy asks him, "Are you in school?" "I graduated, and I really want to do this. This is my passion." They don't even realize they're speaking to the dean of the school. So I think people have a lot more opportunities when they try. I know you have way more opportunities if you try than if you don't. So, yeah, get up, get out, try, make some friends. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt.
Wow. So, guys, anyone watching out there, I always love talking to Evan because each time I have a conversation with him, I just feel like I'm learning a lot. I always have a lot to jot down, and I guess it's the same with anybody out there. And your story, what you're saying, it just I can just connect because with I come from Cameroon, developing country. To be honest with you, to get a job, employment level is very low. But you know, for you to get to have scholarships, and I've had a lot of them, you need to have working experience. So when I just graduated, what I had in mind was that if I sit home, I'm not going to meet anyone, you
Hmm.
know. And there are, to be honest with you, there are people who have first class degree, second class, they are people top up there. But what makes people when they're selecting graduate students, when they're awarding scholarships, there are just very few things, and volunteering is on the top. And I had this advice from one of my uncles, and we just told me, go out and volunteer. At the beginning, I was like, who does that? Who works and doesn't get paid? You know. But I made a quick math in my head. If I go out every day, in 1 year we have 365 days or more, or 366. If I meet one person every day, then definitely, I'll get help. And to be honest with you, that is how I go about having all these scholarships, because I met someone who knew another person. And that's just it. And even just mention it there now. So the next question I have for you is, now this with COVID, with the pandemic, like, how do you think the pandemic has changed the volunteering part? How do you think it would change it? Or, because these days people don't get to meet, you can't really meet in one part or one place. So, how would you advise people we are looking forward to volunteering in that direction, especially now with the
Hmm.
pandemic situation?
So, I mean, I would say, definitely seek out opportunities if you can. The grind never stops just because of a little bit of
Yeah,
adversity. It's the hurdle.
yeah,
The pandemic is very unfortunate, but those who persevere are gonna kind of, they're gonna end up at the top. So
yeah,
you have to look at it as another way for you to maybe capitalize in another way. So if the pandemic is happening and things are closed down and you can't go anywhere, you still have your
yeah.
computer, right? Or if you have a computer, awesome.
Mhm.
Open up your computer, go on Facebook and look at groups. Go on Reddit, look at groups. Go on Instagram, look at groups, and find ways that you can volunteer virtually or continue to join groups to be able to communicate with people. Or again, you can still email places and say, "Hey, I still want to learn these things. I want to do these things. Is there anything that I can do
Uh-huh.
remotely for you? If there's anything I can help you with, Um, if you have any projects that you need help with, or and I think that's something we need to understand. And you kind of said it. Especially a lot of we see volunteering as like, oh,
Yes. Why?
parents will never say like, oh, my son, he is volunteering. That's not a thing. No one's proud about that per se. But we need to get this mindset that
Yeah.
um, that no one is benefiting if we do this for free. But
So,
consider if you graduated from college, even if you didn't graduate from college, think of all the skill sets you have. Write the skills that you have down, and figure out a company or an organization that can benefit from your skills.
yeah.
So if your skills, if you're good at computers, if you're good at tech stuff, oh, it's super easy for you. If you're an engineer, super easy for you. Um, you know, so write down your skills, figure out what you're good at, or figure out what you're great at, figure out what an organization needs. Even the organization that you want to be a part of, email them and say, hey, I know you guys are not accepting anyone right now because of COVID, but here are my skill sets. Here's what I can do, and here's what I can offer you. Because when you apply for a job, the job
Yeah.
the job's not saying, hey, here's what we can do for you. The job is asking, what can you do for us? And then we'll tell
Yes.
you what we do for you, you know?
Yeah.
So, excuse me. So, same thing. You're still kind of interviewing for a volunteer opportunity. And second thing, with COVID, again, you have to be an opportunistic here, right? So you have to look at it and say, where where am I weak at? What are my areas that I'm weak at? What do I need to improve on? So if you know that the next opportunity for you is coming, maybe you don't know actually, because we don't know when things will be back to,
True.
let's say, normal.
Yeah.
So if you know you need to improve on something, maybe it's communication. Oh, you can practice that. You can email someone and say, "Hey, let's continue speaking." Matter of fact, the past several months, I joined this application. It's called Tandem. So anyone who's looking to learn a language, you can find a
Okay.
community of people who speak languages, right? And you can
Okay.
communicate with them. So I've been practicing Spanish, and I'll meet
Wow.
people who are practicing English. So we do
Okay.
kind of an exchange.
Questions.
You know?
Yeah.
I
Wow.
help them with English, so I get to continue practicing teaching people English, and then
Yeah.
they in turn teach me Spanish. See, so
Awesome.
and then I know people who learned coding skills this year, people who
Yeah.
learned graphics, people who are taking classes, and there's a lot of free classes out there that people can take too. So for a lot of people, if English is not your strong suit,
Yeah.
this is a great time for you to leverage your lack of language ability and all these
Okay.
opportunities that are out there for you to learn a language. So yeah, utilize all the skills you have to get a volunteering opportunity, or find out your weaknesses and develop those weaknesses into strengths. That's what I
Okay.
would recommend.
Okay. Awesome. Wow. Wow. Thanks so much. Okay. Before let's get to the last part for this live stream. It's about currently. I want to find out about what do you think about scholarship positions or having a scholarship in the U.S. where you are currently now. Do you
Mhm.
think the first question just throw I'm just gonna throw it out there. Do you think it's easy or it's hard or what do you need to get a scholarship or how can someone prepare, to apply for a scholarship to study in the US in the future?
Mm. Yeah, it's not easy. When I was in Ethiopia,
Yeah,
I helped a couple kids, not kids, they were college students,
yeah,
find ways for them to go to school in America and other countries.
yeah.
Um, and a couple of them got to go to Poland. Okay,
Okay, awesome. Yeah,
so that's a great opportunity. So everyone's thinking
yeah,
America, America, America. America is difficult to get into. Okay,
yeah,
so The organization, there's schools that are giving you full tuition scholarship. Those schools are going to be expecting some of the most exemplary people.
Yeah.
Okay? And unfortunately, by the time the scholarship is out, they might already know who they want. And it might be finished, or they're looking for people who have created something, you know,
Yeah.
or they know they kind of know what they want. Should
Yeah.
not discourage you though. It should not discourage you not to try. You should always try.
Okay. Okay.
Um, but always be careful about who and where the scholarship is coming from.
Yeah.
And don't ever give money without actually having confirmation and understanding that the school is actually
Yeah.
an accredited school, and who you're
Yeah.
communicating with is also reputable.
Yeah.
But again, America is very difficult. Canada is not easy either. But there are
Yeah.
European countries, there are Asian countries that
Yeah.
are looking for diversity. They want students from Africa. They
Yes.
want them, and if you're patient and you know what your goal is, your goal shouldn't
Yeah.
be I want to go to America so I can be in America. Because I know people, people,
Yeah.
their goal.
Yes.
That's their goal. They don't care too much about school. They want to go to America and that's it. And I get it. We all understand why. We know why, okay? But if your priority is school,
Yeah.
you'll go to Ethiopia, you'll go to South Africa, you'll go to Ghana if
Yeah.
your priority is school, okay? And from there
Yeah.
you can find even better opportunities because we had this idea that our schools are not good enough. You know,
Yes.
but you went from Cameroon to Ethiopia to South Africa or to South Korea,
Yeah.
right? So if you tell that
Yeah.
story to a college student today, they'll say, "Oh man, that's too long. Too long. I don't want to do that."
Yeah.
You know, but you have to buy your time. You have to be patient. You have to seek
Definitely.
every opportunity possible. You know, Italy, Greece, Poland, Czechoslovakia, Austria, whatever it is. If those places are having opportunities, you better apply.
True.
Apply. Especially if they're in an area that your country does not provide, or the schools in your country do not provide.
Hmm.
Or they don't support, especially at the
Yeah.
PhD. You know,
Yeah.
um, so yeah. So I think being in America and going to school in America, it's a dream for a lot of people, but
Yeah.
it's usually the hardest route. One, and then two, it's the most expensive.
Oh wow.
Even with the full tuition scholarship, you have to
Yeah.
be able to pay for things, right? So
Wow.
you might have to pay for your apartment. You might have to
Yeah.
pay to get a car. You might have to pay. There's many things you have to pay for. Um, so again, it shouldn't be to discourage people, but they
Yeah.
need to really have a list of
Yeah.
5 or 10 schools. Um,
Hmm.
sorry, 5 or 10 countries, and
Yeah.
then what countries in those universities or
Yeah.
what universities in those countries standards are.
Hmm.
Find out tips, and if you have questions, email them.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many universities we emailed.
Yeah.
You know, if you have a question about a specific subject, say your subject is physics. Okay, so what you want to
Yeah.
do? Um, go to the university page, find the list of professors, and email the professor something. Say, hey, my name
Yeah.
is John, and I'm from Cameroon, and I love physics. Um, these are the things that interest me most about physics.
Hmm.
And I really want to find out how I can learn, how I can continue to learn physics at
Hmm.
university. You know,
Yeah.
because if you don't have that resource in your country, you have to find it
Yeah.
elsewhere.
So,
So again, I think the key is persistence,
yeah.
um, and just being able to don't have shame.
That's true.
Throw the shame away. You know,
Yeah.
when it comes to school, throw the shame away. If you can apply to 100 universities, if you can
Yeah.
have the money, apply to 100.
Yeah.
All right. And
Well.
the other thing about scholarships is
Yeah.
sometimes you need to apply to the university to know if you're going to get a scholarship or not.
Yes.
So there's scholarships that are in your face. It says, "Hey, do this, do X, Y, and Z, and if you win, you get
Yeah.
the scholarship." Okay, those are great. But there's
Yeah.
many scholarships that you don't know about until you apply or
Mm,
until you go to the university's website and you really start looking and you start asking questions.
that's true. That's true. Wow. Thank you so much, Ivan, for your time, your wisdom, because I'll now say you have wisdom, you have experience. Thank you very much for sharing your experience on volunteering, how to get scholarships, because my channel is all about what we're talking about because a lot of people, my brothers, sisters back home or any other country, everyone wants to study, but they don't want to make an effort. And one nice point I picked up when you were talking is that do not give money to anybody. I always say it on my channel. Don't give money to anybody. If you're applying for a scholarship and it's asking you for money, it's a scam. Don't do it. Okay, thank you very much. Any last advice before we leave?
Last advice, actually,
Yeah,
so if people want to continue to volunteer in their country,
yeah.
um, I started a platform. It's called the Okra,
Okay. Oh,
and
oh,
the goal is to be able to um, broadcast all or as many African organizations as we
okay.
can, so that way we can create a platform that people can find these organizations if they want to help or if they want to donate to, as
Okay.
well as I want these African organizations to also utilize each other. You know,
Yes.
um, for example, if you're in Cameroon, maybe there's 5 organizations in your
Yeah.
city alone, and they all focus on education. Well, maybe they can combine.
Yeah.
Maybe they can seek help outside. But anyways,
Uh-huh.
it's called the Okra Network. And it'd be great if people could visit and just see some of the organizations and just let us know what they think.
Okay. Wow. Awesome. So probably you after this you can send me the website
Yeah.
so that I can touch on the description box of this video for anybody looking forward to that. Thank you very much, and I'm gonna say bye at this level. Thanks a lot, brother.
Thank you for having me,
Peace
brother.
out. Yeah. Salute. So thank you very much, everyone. If this is your first time on my channel, make sure you hit on the subscription bell, and you will keep being notified or get to enjoy from this experience firsthand at no cost. Because all of this experience, mind you or not, there are people who document this and sell, but here it's all free for you to empower yourself or any other person around you. So thank you very much and have a lovely